So here is life, okay? Now up here, 0 to 100 is maturity. 0 to 100 over here is hostility. Think 2020. I should have just put 2020, right? So everything that's just a hostile environment, really bad, life isn't good. Okay, so a lot of people, when you come to church, you expect by coming to church, I will no longer, the hostility meter's at 100. My life is going, I got a divorce along the way. I don't have any money. So you're hoping by coming to church, we have some magic wand and we get this number from 100 as close to 0 as possible. You think that's the pastor's job. That's what the church should do. Remove the hostility in my life. The reality is what we are called to really emphasize more is not this axis. Is that x-axis? I haven't been in college in 10 years, right? But the y-axis, this is our job of maturity. Go ahead, next slide. So here is what happens. There are 4 types of generally people that are in this room, okay? So people who have low on the hostility, I don't know how 2020 is a great year for you, but let's just say it is. Your job's going great. You've never been sick. Everybody you love is fine, whatever, right? So you would say you're in this zone. But because you're not actually pursuing the way of Jesus and becoming more responsible and mature, you're just somewhere right here. And the people in this zone, low on here, but also low on maturity, are just passive. Just life is just happening. And I think for a lot of us, I think the American church was in this zone for years until 2020 came. And I think the reason why God is allowing all this to happen is we got to get out of here. Dallas Willard, one of my favorites, he said, it blows me away when people say they don't know how to pray. He says, when you're doing work for the Lord, there is enough things to pray for. So if you're not actively pursuing the kingdom of God, you'll have no idea what to talk with him about. But if you are, all right, God, I got a list, Passive. So this is childhood. This should happen in childhood, but we have to move on. Now, let's say the low on hostility, but high on maturity. You're learning the things of the Lord. You're putting in your God-gathered group go time. You're a responsible adult. You're a responsible human. So you're just a steward of what God has given you. So I want to be here because I don't like this. I don't like hostility, right? So this would be a nice zone, but it's almost impossible, again, to be in this zone in 2020. But I would say in 2018, it's possible for a lot of us who are faithful followers of Jesus. All we had to do was be responsible for the many blessings we were receiving. Just being responsible. We don't have to act like it's the end of the world because it wasn't the end of the world. Here is where most of America is right now. Have you noticed? It's called panicked. Low on maturity, high on hostility. And so we don't know what to do and we are freaking out. Secularism, the largest religion in America today, has no answer for death, has no answer for struggle, is a meritocracy where you just got to get better and everything will get better. And so a lot of people are panicked because they have no idea how to be resilient. As followers of the way, our promise is not that hostility will go to 0. I can't promise you that. Matthew 7, Jesus talks about the house, that was built on the sand and built on the rock. And when the storm came, and a lot of us forget the point of that parable, the storm came to both houses. But one was able to withstand the storm because they were resilient and became like Jesus. His whole point in Matthew 7 is if you do the word, if you do what I'm telling you to do, you will become a resilient disciple. In the storms of life, we don't react. We respond, and we become resilient disciples of Jesus. This is what the world needs for us. This is what the world is. We are panicked, but we're called to be resilient. The church's chief job is to constantly, we want to come alongside of you. There's different levels of maturity in this room. We want to do as best as we can to help you get from whatever number you are to as high as you can get. And this is why we're going to look at in a few weeks in 1 Timothy 4, we need the older men and the older women to pour into the younger men and the younger women because a lot of this maturity just comes from experience. And there are things that I have yet to experience. I know I look really old, but so we need each other. We need this community, but this is what we're focused on the most. How can we instill maturity?